Yummy. So it's been a week since I've been here in South Korea, and I wanted to make this video because as a working class person who immigrated to a different country for opportunity, and with the context that I'm coming from the West, which is interesting in terms of trying to find opportunity, so immigrating when the West is meant to be the place that you immigrate to. I wanted to come on here and make this video because I want to contribute to a growing conversation and a growing, I guess, like class consciousness that we all know and believe in. And I just want to add my voice to the chorus of sound so that it grows louder and louder. So obviously, the reason for wealth inequality in the world is the super rich. And obviously, the easiest way to resolve this issue and get money back into the hands of the middle class and into the hands and the pockets of the working class is to tax the super rich. Now, I know that we all pretty much know this, and if you don't know this, now you know. And once you know, it's actually very exciting because it's a relieving sense of clarity. It's very simple to understand and it makes sense. And that's usually what the truth is. It's direct, it's simple to understand, and it makes sense. It's not complicated. A complicated answer would be the reason why wealth inequality is spreading across the world is because of immigrants and foreigners. That is a complicated answer that you have to find your way, kind of tongue twisted around, and you might have to do research. You have to find your way to justify that and make sense of it, because at some point, most of us have been immigrants. Most of us are foreigners. Wherever we are right now, more than likely, if your family tree can go back 500 years, maybe 1,000 years, you're probably not from the exact place that you are right now. So the idea that it is always the immigrant or the foreigner's fault for wealth inequality is a really hard idea to stomach, but it becomes easier to accept once you feel like you belong to a place and you become attached to that place and your sense of your quality of life in that place. And then there are new people here and your life is getting harder. And so you start to wonder, whose fault is it? And you don't see these super rich people. They are elusive and it almost feels like they don't exist. They do exist, they don't exist. So it's easy to blame your neighbor, the person next to you, especially if they don't speak your language and they look different from you and they smell different and they're eating different food and you're starting to see changes in your society to accommodate, and you're starting to feel like, well, maybe these changes are the reason why my life is getting worse. It's easy to blame the immigrant. But it's also a really complicated answer that doesn't account for the last 20 years, in my opinion. I feel like the only answer that really makes sense is the answer that has been true throughout time, which is that super, super, super rich people can be very, very, very greedy because they don't see the people they're affecting, and they're more focused on maintaining their wealth and their legacy so that they can always be rich and their children can always be rich. And if you believe in the idea of reincarnation, then maybe they are born into their families again, and so they're always going to be rich and they want to stay that way. So they're focused on themselves, and they will do whatever it takes to maintain their level of power, because otherwise they know what it's like to live. They can see what it's like to live at the bottom, and it's not fun. It's not great. They watch us. They know that we're not having the best time ever. They don't want to be like us. So you abuse your power so that you can keep what you have. It's the super rich. They are very hard to pin down in a sense because we don't have a face. We don't have a face that represents. And when we do have a face, it's their children. It's the innocent 15-year-old. It's the innocent 10-year-old, the innocent 8-year-old. That's who they put out into the public. So that if you end up saying anything about them, well, then it's like, oh, but you're going to speak about a child. They don't show us the great grandparent unless the great grandparent has like a cute look, and they don't show us like the 40-year-olds and the 50-year-olds, the ones who you would want to hold accountable. They show us the children, or they show us the charity work they've done. They show us the libraries. They show us the hospitals with their names on it. We don't get to see the people who are actively working to sustain their place in life at the sacrifice of the entire earth. And I think that what's important about this conversation is that we really maximize the language to fit the situation. Saying world feels so small these days because the world is so accessible. But when you think about it in terms of the earth, these people rule the earth. They rule the earth, this entire planet. They rule the planet. The world is such a societal term. Put it in the context of the planet. They rule this physical planet, this entire physical earth. These people rule the earth. They affect everybody, everything, every creature, every plant, every element, everything on this earth. If you're a spiritual person, these people rule this plane. They rule this plane of existence through their power and through their wealth. And yes, there are miracles that happen every day, and you have your belief systems, and that can get you through. But ultimately, when it comes down to the material, these people hold on to a lot of it and are the deciders of whether you get access to it. And more, they are deciding that you do not get access to it. And they're not going to go out of their way to try and figure out how you can. So we have to take power into our own hands. And the way that we can do that is taxing the super rich. It is the easiest answer. We have a political system that is already built. We have a tax system that is built. We need to edit it to create a taxing level that includes the super rich. And we have to get over this idea that they can just leave, because they can't. Because if you rule the earth, if you control the earth, if you control all of the land masses on the earth, and we tax you, you can't escape it. These people own chunks of, let's not talk about it in terms of countries, because that's so societal and it makes it feel small. These people own chunks of Africa, the continent. They own chunks of the continent of Africa. They own chunks of the continent of North America. They own chunks of the continent of Antarctica, and the continent of Europe, and the continent of Asia, and the continent of Oceania, Australia, and of South America. These people own chunks of the planet. Okay, so us using our taxation system to tax them, that they would not be able to escape that. We would be taxing what they own, and they own this earth, so they can't run away from that. Okay? I think that the first step is simply working on the psychology. Number one, if we tax these people, we are doing something good. Good for everybody. Good for everyone. Good for them too. If you're someone like me who's spiritual, think about their karma. Think about their karma. It's not great. So taxing them would help them begin to work on the heavy, heavy, heavy shadow that they've got tugging behind them in the spirit realm. Taxing them would help at least relieve some of that weight, because it gets to a certain point where, can you do the work on your own? I don't know if you can, when you're carrying that much weight and you're sustaining it every time you come back down here. And you're probably caught in a loop if you're in that kind of family or in that kind of situation. So taxing the super rich is good for all, and it's really good for the planet. But taxing the super rich is good for everybody. Also, taxing the super rich is not going to affect you, the $200,000 income person. It's not going to affect you, the $5 million income person. You're not who we're talking about. So you're going to be fine. We're talking about multiple billions and people whose money has nothing to do with even money. It has something to do with land. So you can't relate to them and you don't need to worry about being affected. You're not going to be affected in a negative way. You're going to be fine. Working class people, you're only going to be positively affected by this. We're only going to get money back into our pockets, which is money that we have earned and money we deserve. Taxing the super rich. 3, taxing the super rich is not stealing from the super rich. It's not stealing, okay? You can't just suddenly decide that you own pieces of the planet and then not want to care for any of the life forms that are on those chunks of the planet that you have decided that you get to own, okay? You can't do that. So we're just simply taking back our autonomy and taking back our right to be on this planet and to take care of this earth. And it is very hard to take care of the earth, and it is very hard to take care of each other when you don't have any resources. And the way that we have defined resources on this in this day and age is money. So we need money, okay? We're not going into a bartering society completely. And we have crypto, but we're not there yet, okay? We're still using money, government money. We need that back in our pockets. It's money you've earned, and it's money that just belongs to you. It's just resources that come with being alive. You deserve access to clean water. You deserve access to housing, warm, safe housing that fits whatever environment that you're within. You deserve access to community. These are things that we need as human beings. And other creatures around us, they deserve access to vitality and strength in their own liveliness as well. Okay, so it's not stealing from the super rich by taxing them. It's redistributing the wealth that was really all of ours and has just now been, it's just been decided that it belongs to just these families. So we're just taking back what has already always belonged to everyone. The reason for wealth inequality is obviously the super rich. And the answer to solving wealth inequality is to tax the super rich. It is an easy answer and it is the right answer. And we have been gaslit out of knowing that throughout time. And we come back to this conclusion throughout time because it's always right and it's always true. Greedy people don't just get to be greedy. You don't just get to be that way. This is the earth, and on earth, most of us are community beings. Most of us are community creatures. We're village creatures. We take care of each other. That is what it is to be human. That is what it is to be a creature on this planet. There's very few solitary creatures. There's some, but there's few. Most of us are village creatures. So you must contribute to the village. You must give, you must do your part. You don't have the right to just hoard for yourself and be greedy. You don't have the right. You have free will, and so that can happen, but it's not your right. And we, as creatures of this planet, as people, we have the right to redistribute wealth when we realize that it is all being hoarded in one place and we are suffering because of it. That money, those resources belong to us all, and we will take it back if we need to.